G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Mind, where as a Chapter 1, Season 1 veteran, I'm going to be bringing you guys the latest and greatest tips, tricks, strategies, and more to winning not only more games, but more crowns in Fortnite Chapter 7. So guys, as always, if you're keen to see us here, send it back for the crown win, make sure you guys do hit that like button, and you hit that subscribe button. Of course, we are landing down over here at Wonkeeland. Alright, this is going to be a POI that we've covered a couple times so far this season. However, we are going to try and show you a secret loot room here as well, or at least a way to get guaranteed legendary and rare items off of drop. Alright, so do kick back, grab some snacks and relax. Alright, we do have a person around the corner over there actually. I kind of want to get behind a little bit more sizable cover here. Now, there will be your mending machines to the left of us right there, which is going to be great for getting your heals as well as potentially ammunition as well for certain guns. Alright, of course, you will have that, and then the Goldomatic with the gold pump there. So, a fair choice potentially to have. Alright, we do, of course, start with the blue for the Deadeye, which is going to be a most welcomed item in my hotbar personally. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and grab as much ammo and heals as possible, and we're going to then make our way over to the shooting range. So we're going to go over to that firing range, we're going to go check it out, and that is where we're going to be able to get these really cool items and weapons. Right, super rare stuff here, but we will need a little bit of ammunition for it. So we're going to loot up a little bit more. I'm definitely going to keep a pistol as well, because we might just use that for the shooting range. To do this type of strategy here. So come up and around here. We do of course have one of those boards as well where you can get some of those crate drops and what have you. Alright, I feel like we've got enough here. I might just go and grab this last chest and then we're going to start it, guys. Alright, perfect. We will be able to grab the blue there for the twin hammer. Alright, let us see. It is not inside here. I keep forgetting where it's at. I believe it might be a little bit up further here. Alright, and just inside we are going to start firing away. I'm going to quickly check our back though, just because, you know, if you guys are doing this strategy as well, do bear in mind that there might be a few players who want to take advantage of you. So I'm just going to put up a little bit of a defense here, and we're going to go and of course start it off. So we're going to start the game like this. You do not want to shoot these ones, you just want to shoot the white. Alright, wait for them to come back up. I'm going to reload in between. Alright, you're going to do this a couple of times. I believe it's just in the 30 seconds. And the good news about this strategy is you can actually do this multiple times. Or at least at the start of the season anyway, you could do it multiple times. And I feel like this is a great way if you guys are looking for some extra loot and you want to be able to get that. You definitely are going to be able to. So, and then I believe right now it should reward us. There we go. The guaranteed legendary, as well as, okay, it's a rare, it's not an epic, but that's still decent, you know, and you can do this multiple times. All you need to do is just start the game again. For example, we'll quickly do that. It only takes 30 seconds. Alright, 30 seconds is all it takes here, guys. Now, we have made quite a lot of shots up here. I'm just going to see if we get something different. And yeah, it looks so far so good. I do think this is something that some people might take advantage of. However, the fact that it doesn't actually give you guys any of those ammunition, for example, or at least at the first time that we did it, some really great heals there, it seems quite balanced to me as well. So we'll see what we get for the second one. Okay, we do get the legendary for the tactical. Look, I'm going to go for the jetpack here, and I might actually consider going for the chug jug. Now, we do have someone flying on down. It's the boss, which is definitely going to be interesting. I am going to try and go for this boss. However, I would like to get a little bit of distance first. Actually, considering the way that we are right now with the zone, I am just going to move on anyway into Storm, or at least into safety here. And I'm going to use this sort of wing glider here, right, the wingsuit, and a very particular method here for trying to get further distance, alright, with momentum. I know this is an issue that a lot of players have, is using the wingsuit, trying to get that momentum, and they feel like they just can't get it. So try and act like a sugar glider, guys. Try and go up and down ride that wind similar to a wave, and you might notice it goes a lot further than otherwise. So if you have enjoyed this episode so far, do make sure you guys hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button. Alright, we do have some shots over to yonder there. I do see him all the way on the hill over there. We're not going to land those shots. We probably will, but is it going to be something we'll do consistently? No. Alright, we do need some more ammunition if we are going to be going in for these fights. And look, I tell you, Inner Loop Labs, guys, if there's going to be a POI that is going to be able to give you guys a lot of that loot, you know, a lot of that ability for good items, as well as just in general shields as well, you know, this is going to be on the top list, right? I feel like this is very central, and with the way that the bus does drop, you're going to notice that, right? You're going to notice that, hey, this is actually going to be a more sort of packed POI, or at least off of drop there. So great for duos, great for trios. I don't mind it in squads. And you know what? We do have some shots over there, and I'm actually going to go for this. Right, I do want some action. It has been very quiet, and I feel like a lot of players have sort of gone, okay, wonkeeland, you're all right, but you're just not really ticking a lot of those boxes. You know, you're also going to be quite north in the map there, which I know there's going to be a few people who might not totally love that. I can't really see where old mate is there. But we do have some shots up here, which I'm going to try and go for instead. Alright, now typically you would want to try and be a little bit more stealthy with this run, but... oh. Alright, it's the Billy Eyelash. I'm going to come around to the right side here, because as soon as we start shooting at a player down in that tunnel, most of them will run inside the tunnel, and then you lose access to them. So running outside to the side here, you're going to get a lot more sort of wiggle room here for those types of players. Now, he's likely still going to be down there, and he can definitely hear our footsteps, considering, you know, we are quite close to him. And you know what? I don't really want to go down there, right? Because if we do go down there, let's just think about this. We go down there, we get into a firefight. We've just had a firefight, right? People with those visual sound, right, enabled, they're going to be seeing those shots for 200 to 250 meters away, right? So that is... they've probably already sort of clued on to us, right? So if we get into another fight down there, the chances of another person sort of coming up to us there, very, very likely we would have the low ground, they would have the high ground, and that is just something that I don't want to, you know, put myself in, right? That is a position that I feel is very, just not great. It's not ideal. We do have someone down there. It's going to be a bot there. Crazy 88 henchman. Alright, we do have the boss around the corner here. I'm going to come back around. He looks to be potentially... there he is. Alright, we did do a fairly sizable amount of damage there to him. I'm going to try and make our way up to the high ground here. Right, he might be trying to heal up. Does have that self-revive there. And he's got a bit of goons there as well around him. Alright, he does drop us, of course, the mythical Human Bill's Arc Lightning Gun, which is going to be fair, and I feel like when you guys are going up against these bosses, to try to be a bit mindful of that. Like, hey, yes, they will have extra health. Yes, they will have some greater weapons. However, it doesn't mean that they are invulnerable, and it doesn't mean that you should be entirely scared of them either. You know, sometimes approaching it with confidence and with strategy as well, you're going to notice a higher likelihood of being able to turn that fight into your favor. Alright, so sometimes just try to remember to be mindful about it. Alright, try to be watching that heart rate, watching your panic, and going, you know what? Sometimes it isn't just about having the best sort of loot or the best items. Sometimes it's just about being more calm. Right, calmer than the other player there. So do have some more shots over here, and I feel like not having a car right now has definitely been quite an interesting experience, and it's one that I've been practicing a lot with in my duo queues, right, is to not use a car, to not be so reliant on it. So guys, do let me know down below in the comments section if that is something you guys have tried there. In regards to not using a car this season. Alright, so it has definitely been a hell of a learning curve. You know what, I'm not going to go for that. I wanted to, but the fact that he's got porter bunkers there is quite... it just doesn't feel right to me. I feel like that is a decent player. Not many newer players feel comfortable using them, and so they don't really pick it up. They would rather offensive weapons rather than having defensive or utility. So we do have, of course, a nice little sight on the back of that porter bunker. It is going down there. I'm going to make my way up around the corner. Do see old mate flying on in. We did just give away our shots there. Yep. Fair play to him. He's in the hot air balloon, which is pretty interesting. I might actually go for some of these shots. He is going to be a little bit lower. I would prefer our overshield to be down. I can't actually see him. He must be behind that bunker there. So we'll make our way up. I would like another big boy in terms of the shields. But besides that, I'm looking good on ammo. We do have the Chug Jug, which is going to carry us through a whole lot further. And it'll also be really good for, just having general sustain there. So do we have a player down there, an NPC? Not sure what is going on there. It was player AFK, I think. They might have landed down in the drop. Now we do have a slurp truck down below. I'm going to mark that on the map, guys. But why, Butter? Why are you marking on the map your full shield? Right, you've got your two big boys, and you've also got your Chug Jug at a pretty sizable 140. What's the play there? Right, short and simple, guys. We're going to be marking that for a late game. Alright, we want to be ensuring that even if we are full on shields, that we are consistently looking for extras, alright? Looking for these backups. It's going to be a form of insurance, and it's going to be able to really help us late game if we do get into a sticky situation. Alright, now we are going to be getting into that stage of the zone where it is less likely that the wingsuit is going to be the best play for us. We want to have that for mid-game. We want to have it for the start of the game as well, the early game there, for rotation, for mobility, and just general movement in the general sense. However, late game, when the storm gets very small, when the zone gets very small, and players get lumped all too close together, this is where you're going to notice that slow sort of ramp up time for the wingsuit is going to be more often than not quite devastating. It's going to be quite griefing, and that might not be something you guys want to sign up for. So right now I'm unsubscribing to it. Alright, we do have a player coming down the hill here. Miss those shots, so we immediately will try to jump away to the side. I'm identifying points of cover like this rock here. I'm understanding as well that he's likely on top of the roof by now, and he's trying to scope in on me. Yep, there he is. And you're trying to put yourself into the other player's position, right? Like, where would you go if you were in their position? And for me, it would be jump on top of the house and start to look in, right? So we've also got the zone moving. I do want to position ourselves quite keenly for that. Now, this is where I would probably have liked to have that wingsuit. But look, we got some shockwaves as well instead. This isn't going to be the worst thing in the world. But guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you guys do try to help us reach that goal of 5,000 subscribers by the end of next year. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Alright, we are going to be making our way. I want to go to the opposite side here, just towards Painted Palms. And the reason being is we did have that player. Behind us there. And I want to make sure that we're furthest away, right? I want to make sure that I'm so far away that we're going to be able to catch him rotating in. And I want to do so comfortably, right? So I'm looking for high ground. I like this rock up here. I mean, in the words of Donkey, this is indeed a nice boulder. Alright, so we will jump on top. We will also have overwatch of this area around the side there. And there's the Forsaken Vowblade player. So I would like to kill that player as well. I do say that these Forsaken Vowblade players are going to be the more notorious sweaty players of the match, but also your high value kills. These are your high value targets, and you should be placing a premium on their head at all costs. Alright, now we do have someone flying up and over there. We do have the opportunity for stealth, right? We do have that opportunity for surprise. It's a boss player. Of course, I just opted to not go for the stealth, right? I said, you know what? I want to try and give that a fair crack. We do have our right flank here largely undefended, which isn't the greatest in the world. So I want to be playing around this cover. With that in mind, I want to be making sure that our right side is also protected with either these structures or maybe this hill here. Alright, and then we can sort of play with the down slope here. Alright, we can try and have a look, try and scout out there. We do know that they are having a bit of a firefight. And if you guys have been in a game like this, right, where maybe it has been quite slower, or maybe you just haven't found many people, use it as a fantastic opportunity to just try to, be mindful about not only the way that you're playing, but the players that you do find and how they're playing. Try to identify, okay, what are some things that I've noticed other players do in this game, and what have I noticed about myself that I've done this game that is also quite noteworthy? What have you done that is right? What have you done that is wrong? Double down on that, and most certainly try to improve consistently over time there. So that is going to be one of the best ways you can try to achieve more wins, right? A higher win rate is simply by just trying to be mindful about what you did right and what you did wrong, but also about what others did right and wrong. So I see that boss is there in quite a tough situation. Well played to him. He's going to get out of there, I'd say. No, he does go down. Alright, old mate on top of the hill. I don't like that he is jumping up and over there. I'm going to wait for our stamina and then we jump back out. Alright, he is in a firefight now. Third partying is 100% on the table for us here. Alright, that is definitely sometimes how it goes. Immediately I'm running around to these points of cover here, guys. Alright, yes, he might have that high ground. He for sure could. And this might not be the best place for us here. However, I feel like our next best place is there, and it is way too center of the zone. Alright, that is way too center zone for me and my liking. Alright, hopefully we can reload in time there. I would like to go for the shockwave to follow this up. It's because we did do quite a lot of damage. Do get some more shockwaves there. And there's old mate on the other side of the hill here. This is probably a great time to shockwave in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy this episode, make sure you hit that like button. You hit that subscribe button. And as always, well played to him. Where did he even go? Oh, well played. Alright, I can't even see him. He might be up in a tree. Absolutely buns there. Just going to quickly grab this shield. Reload in cover. Reload our gun as well. I'm understanding that we do have high ground up here. Let us double down and use it. Noting my heart rate's quite quick. That's okay. He might be healing up here. I'm going to rotate down. I want to capture zone. Could be in the bush. Check that bush. Alright, we're going to make our way back over here. He could be in this bush as well. I'm going to do some side flanks here. Wait for that overshield to get back up. Identify the next place of cover. And immediately we try to run on down here. Alright, capturing that zone. Capturing these points of cover, these rocks. We're using these bushes to our advantage. We're not trying to rush out there just yet. We are trying to be quite mindful and cautious. Alright, we don't know how much health he's got, so I'm going to start to sprint, or at least start to crouch here. And I can't even see him here. I'm not even too sure. He might be behind that rock there. That's where I would be. He could also be down behind the walls. Alright, I want to make sure when I'm looking down at these walls, I'm kind of crouching back behind this hill here. He could also be down behind this cliff. Now, this is where I love to, and you will notice a lot of players will hide behind, is that cliff there. Or any sort of cliff like that. Before I get off this high ground though, He's going to try and jump on this. Pretty sure he would anyway. There he goes. I want to get that overshield back up ASAP. He's on top there. Just fair enough. If I can jump up top there, that would have been great. Oh, stuck. We're stuck. Try and go for the shield again. Wait for the overshield. This storm is going to be moving and it is going to be dastardly. Well played to him. Well played to this guy. A very worthwhile contender here for the crown. A lot of shockwaves there. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how it's done. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, take care. Garnier.